Okay, so we're gonna get started. Hi everyone, welcome class of 2024. This is the Office of Student Engagement at Stanford's Virtual Student Activities Fair. While it's no longer possible for us to welcome you on campus, we want to provide you with some essence of campus life. A little bit about us. The Office of Student Engagement is a hub for student involvement on campus, where we support around 600 student organizations in a wide variety of categories. So today's session is about dance groups on campus. You can sign up for the other sessions that will happen throughout the week at admit.stanford.edu. My name is Kylie. I'm a peer advisor in the Office of Student Engagement. I'm also a human biology major and I'm a senior. I'll be hosting this session today. The format for today's session has two parts. First, we'll have this panel of students who are leaders of different dance groups to talk in general about these types of organizations. We have preset questions, but we'll also open up a Q&A for anyone to ask any question that they want answered. And then this will be followed by a breakout session to meet with individual organizations that you're interested in. We'll send out a Google Doc that includes all the organization names and individual Zoom links so that you can go and visit as many groups as you want and sort of like get more detailed feel about different groups. So to introduce our panelists today, we have Grace, who is the president of Urban Styles and Jam Pack, which are two dance groups. These are all dance groups. Bree, who is the show artistic director of Deviate. Isabel, who's the co-chair of Kayumangi. And then Richard, who's artistic director of Stanford Swing Time. So in the interest of time, we're just going to get into those questions. So we're going to start with the preset questions. The first one is, what does the dance community look like at Stanford?
Yeah, I can answer that. So the dance community at Stanford, first of all, is huge. There are so many different dance groups. I don't know the ballpark number, but I want to say like 80. That might be totally false. But it's also incredibly diverse. So no matter what background you're coming from, whether that's lots of years of ballet or no dance background whatsoever, there will be a dance group that will be a great fit. The styles range anywhere from ballet, contemporary, more traditional classical styles, all the way to hip hop, urban dance, cultural dance, social dance. We cover a lot of ground. And the best part about the dance community is that even though it's so big and it's so diverse, we all get together at least once a quarter to put on a show. So there's a lot of sharing, there's a lot of community involved.
Awesome, thank you. Our next question, is it difficult to get onto a dance team at Stanford? And then if you don't get on, what other opportunities do you have for dance?
So I can kind of talk about like the non-audition piece because I've been in like 4 non-audition groups in my time here. So there's like a lot to choose from, whether you're just like interested in dance and you don't really have an experience. There's definitely a group out there that you can like enter, like just to name a few, like Common Origins, Extreme, Caillou, MLH. Those are the non-audition ones that come to mind right away. And so you'll definitely find a place to enter the dance community. If someone else wants to talk on kind of like the audition aspect of things, I'll pass it off to whoever wants to take that on.
Yeah, so I could talk about that a little bit. So me and Grace are on a couple of groups that do require auditions, but they're actually really fun, like super low stress. It's essentially like a bunch of people screaming for you, throwing shoes at you. You perform a combo for us, and then we decide. Sometimes there are callbacks depending on the group. For the most part, it's very low stress, but depending on the group, it could be a little bit tricky to get on. So what we try to do is encourage folks to come audition for us. And then, if you don't get on, then you can go to a non-audition group, kind of work some skills, train a little bit, and then come back to see us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because a lot of groups tend to have auditions like twice a year too. So like there's a lot of second chances in 1 year and then a lot of second chances in many years. So
yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Next question, what are fun or festive programs or events that are hosted by the dance community?
So I'm just going to speak a little bit on this, just because my position this year is directing a show. So Deviate, my hip hop group, we host a show every winter quarter. Two other groups, Common Origins and Alliance, they also host shows every quarter. And it's a very well attended event. Essentially, all of your friends, sometimes professors even, come to support you, and you get to show off all your skills that you've been working so hard on perfecting on stage, and it's really a great time. So those are 3 like guaranteed dance events that are hosted every year. And a recent addition is the Winter Arts Fest. It's a smaller event, but we're hoping to build it up more. And essentially a bunch of groups came together and performed and taught classes in Robley, which is our main studio on campus. And lastly, we sometimes do community workshops, so members from different groups across each, like the wide array of genres, from hip hop to swing to anything, will teach classes that are free admission, just to get the whole community together, keep everyone moving and stuff like that.
I'll jump in and kind of talk about the social dance part. So at Stanford, there's a huge social dance community. Even if you have never danced before, if you come to Stanford, you may hear that social dance classes are super popular, and everyone's are like, you have to take a social dance class before you graduate. So there's a huge social dance community, and there's always social dance events on campus. Like every quarter, there's a big event. Like in the fall, there's a fall ball where everyone gets together. In the winter, there's a huge event called Viennese Ball. We go to this fancy venue, and then there's like more than 500 people, and then everyone dresses up. And then there's all sorts of dances. There's like swing, there's waltz, and then salsa, lots of kinds of social dance. And there's big dance in the spring. And then also, because this community is so active, every month there's an event called Jamex, which is like a dance event that everyone can go to. So there's lots of events going on.
Awesome, thank you. So the last preset question that we have is, how do organizations build community?
I can answer that. So I'm in 3 different organizations: Urban Styles, Jam Packed, and Alliance, and each group on its own is a really great internal community. So groups usually have a social chair who works with the president or directors of the team to put on social events where you, especially if you're a newbie or a freshman coming onto the team, it's a great way to meet old upperclassmen or people you wouldn't generally meet your first year at Stanford and make some new friends that way. Social events are super diverse too. Sometimes we go out and get food together and get that subsidized by the Office of Student Engagement and ASSU. We go get ice cream. Sometimes we go off campus to take a dance class together, and that's a really great way to bond. And a lot of times we just hang out on campus. Sometimes some of my groups have a Snapchat group, so if anyone's literally studying anywhere, they'll ping the group and be like, I'm at Trester right now. If you're nearby, come swing by. And finally, especially when we're going out, hanging out Friday, Saturday nights, I love being in a dance group, because whenever you see someone out and about doing things, we'll always see each other and scream and have a really great time. So depending on the dance group, how the social events are organized will vary, but in my experience, it's always a super social and super community-based experience.
Cool. Thank you so much. That was a good answer. So thank you all. All of those were great answers. I think, we just got some questions. I was going to say there's no questions. So now we opened up the Q&A, so anyone in the audience or participants can submit questions. So the first question we have is it hard to balance multiple dance groups, other extracurriculars, and coursework?
Yeah, I can speak on that. I think most people will agree with me when I say just trying to figure out my background's speaking out. Trying to figure out Stanford is already multiple units in it of itself. So definitely like joining multiple dance groups right away, like extracurriculars and all that coursework. Like it's going to be difficult to find that balance, and there will be times when you want to skip practice really badly just so you can like get those 2 more hours of studying for a test that you didn't study enough for. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it is really difficult, but the more you learn to manage your time just as you spend more time on campus, like that'll become easier to you. And then also as years pass by, kind of your priorities will hopefully start to clarify. So you'll know where you want to spend your time and who you want to spend your time with. So that also helps you like narrow down. Yeah.
Another great part about student groups is that it's run by students. So usually we're very understanding and empathetic to whatever you're going through. Like I'm a senior right now. I remember my freshman breakdown, sophomore breakdown, the junior breakdown happened, senior breakdown. Like I remember all of it. And we try really hard to emphasize that like your life and your health and happiness is more important than showing up to practice. Like if you have an emergency, you have an emergency. But the other great thing about student run groups is that if you're auditioning and you're joining, you're not making a commitment to being 100% active in that team every quarter for the rest of your Stanford career. Me, myself, I've taken quarters off from a group when I knew I had too much academic pressure that quarter and was like, I need a break, just a little bit less of dance this quarter. While other quarters, I'm like, yeah, I'm all in. I'm here all the time. So it's really up to you. It's a lot more flexible than the dance background I had before Stanford. And that's been really great for me.
And just like a final quick note, as things become really stressful in the quarter, I found myself being incredibly grateful for my dance groups for providing me an outlet to forget about the stress of my daily life. I know, like not everyone that's going to be joining dance groups is has experience with dance, but for me, it's always been a source of like relaxing, de-stressing. So dance groups are also a great way to do that and stay fit and active and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So another question is, with so many groups, what's the best way to decide which to try out?
I guess I can start. So activities fair. So this is the spring activities fair. There's also one in the fall, and it's a great way to go during this time to talk to all the groups. And if you have sort of like an idea of which kind of dance you're interested in, you can go visit those groups. And whether the group is audition based or not, it never hurts to try. So I guess through this process, you can kind of like figure out which group is better for you.
And I know it sounds like a lot of us are in a lot of dance groups, but when I came in as a freshman, I really thought I was only going to join one or something like that. And it was over the course of my time at Stanford, as I got to know myself better, got to know Stanford as a school and as the dance community better. I kind of added groups as I went. So I just say, don't feel any pressure to like figure out what dance is going to look like for your Stanford career in just your first quarter.
Yeah, and also don't feel any pressure to have to do multiple groups too. I think we're on this panel because we are on multiple groups and like can speak to different ones. So like if you find a group and just want to stick with it and go hardcore with that for all 4 years, that's also 100% viable. So we're just here because we're weird.
That's me. I'm only in swing time. I never danced before, and I auditioned and joined swing time my freshman year, and everyone is like a family to me, and swing time.
Awesome.
Yeah, a lot of groups also have videos on YouTube. So if there are groups that are pretty similar, then you could check out their vibes, see past performances and stuff like that.
Awesome. Thank you. So we're getting kind of a lot of questions about time commitment. So like how many times a week people meet or groups meet, for how long, like how much time to expect to like sort of give to a dance group.
Just to estimate, I think most dance groups tend to rehearse 2 or 3 times a week for 2 to 3 hours each. So I'd say it's probably a 4 to 6 hour commitment weekly. And dance groups usually rehearse on weekday nights, so like Monday through Thursday-ish after dinner time, and occasionally on the weekends, say like Saturday, Sunday morning or afternoon. Yeah, but it also varies. So like one dance group I'm in, Alliance, is way more intense, so that's like 6 to 9 hours a week. And then another dance group I'm in, Jam Packed, where the reputation is that it's a super chill group. We rehearse like maybe 5 hours and a quarter.
Yeah, low key. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure, like Bandersnatch type of thing. You very much can control how much you decide to put into your groups, depending on your quarter. Like you might not want to go as hard during a winter quarter when you have 22 units and half of them are, you know, like CS classes. Maybe don't do that. But if you have a lighter spring quarter and you want to commit more time, then you can. And that's the great thing about these groups. Like Grace was saying earlier, it's very flexible and we're all understanding. You just have to be, you know, upfront at the beginning of the quarter what you're planning on doing. But as long as you're, you know, honest about it, then we're very accommodating.
For social dance groups, if it's audition-based performance groups like Swing Time and Opening, who performs at Viennese balls, it's usually about 2 rehearsals a week. Takes 4 hours total usually. And then non-audition groups where you just go and social dance, they're more chill, 1 or 2 hours a week.
Awesome. Thank you all. So in the interest of time, we'll probably just ask one more question, and then we'll go out into breakout groups. And obviously, if there are other questions, people can stay. But so the last question I'm going to ask is about competition. So someone asked, do dance groups compete anywhere? And then also, are there dance groups that sort of are more competitive based, like similar to like what someone would compete in dance outside of?
Yeah, so Legacy is a competitive hip hop team on campus. They're pretty new. They were founded in 2016, my freshman year, but they've really grown over the past few years. So they go to local competitions, local urban hip hop dance competitions. Yeah, and then I just saw a couple other questions about people coming from a competition dance background, or another question about lyrical contemporary backgrounds. Small plug, Urban Styles, which is the contemporary jazz student-run company on campus. Most of us are coming from that competitive background. So I grew up competing in like contemporary jazz, ballet, conventions, etc. And a lot of us have that same background. So if you have a competitive contemporary background, check us out.
And also, like, I was very much the same way as Grace, but I found myself going more towards the classes that are offered as opposed to like the Urban Styles group, just because it was really hard with my schedule. And so there are really great classes taught, ballet, modern, contemporary, even hip hop, and there are performance opportunities as well. And I think that's a really great substitute for people that kind of like love that that performance feeling, but are doing more lyrical contemporary Urban Styles, and TAPS productions are really great for that.
Grace?
Awesome.
Yeah. So other competition teams, there's Bunkra, there's also Ross, and Salseros, who mainly does salsa. They also have competitions. And those groups also, because they compete, have auditions usually. And it's okay if you don't have any experience, because usually there are classes offered at Stanford. There's intro classes, whether you're into hip hop or you want to start social dancing. Those classes usually are not connected with the dance groups, but there's intro classes for all these dance styles.
Awesome. Could you, Richard, you've been speaking a bit about social dance. Could you sort of like explain like what you mean by social dance versus like do another form?
Sure, yeah. So social dancing is partner dancing. Usually there's 2 roles involved. There's a lead role and the follow role. You can ask anyone to dance. My primary role is a lead. I can ask a follow to dance with me. Social dance styles include like swing, waltz, salsa, and many others. And the social dance classes at Stanford teach a variety of styles, and there's at the dance events, there's like music for all the styles.
Awesome. Thank you. So we have reached the end of our little panel time. So to all the participants who are joining us, a link has just been shared in the chat. If you click on the bottom bar, that will lead you to a Google Doc that has all the groups that agreed to sort of hold like a little breakout Zoom session, and then the Zoom link to them. So you can sort of like go through there and pick ones that you might want to go to, and then you can always like leave one and go to another. And that way it will be similar to what we're doing here, but a little more intimate with like less people around. And then obviously for specific orgs, if you're curious about specific groups. Thank you so much to our panelists. That was wonderful. I even learned a lot. And yeah, so if people have like burning questions that they don't want to go ask, some of the panelists might stay. I'll be here. Otherwise, we strongly recommend going to Explore, just because you won't get the opportunity to do that during the fair that we normally have on campus.
And this is the voice of one of the staff members in the Office of Student Engagement. There was a question about the fall that I wanted to just answer. I think, I don't have a good answer for you, but we don't know right now. So I think the good thing, Grace kind of talked about this, is each student org has lots of autonomy. And as far as we can tell right now, if there is a different plan for the fall, we'll work with all those groups and they'll be able to figure out a plan that best suits them. So somewhat of an answer, but not a direct answer.
All right, I'll be headed to my to my team's room. So
Okay. You want to say what group you're going to in case
yeah,
people want
so I'm going to head into Kayumangi, which is like a traditional Filipinx dance group. So bye y'all, and thanks for listening.
And then if any of the panelists have to go. Oh, good. Yeah, that's totally fine.
I'm headed to Urban Styles again. All right, bye everyone.
Bye, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just chilling, so I can
Cool.
I can answer whatever that would be helpful. I see a question about the TAPS dance minor. I don't know if that person that asked is still here, but for anyone that's still in the chat, the TAPS dance minor, I personally am not minoring. I was going to, definitely had the intention of doing so when I got here, but it is kind of a lot of units and it was difficult to manage that with being pre-med. So essentially what it is a combination of technique classes that you have to take and then a few like academic classes where you can take anything that ranges from like Black feminist magic to dance in prison systems. It's a wide range of really interesting classes that you can take. And then I think maybe a couple units of assisting on a TAPS show. So for the most part, I think it's a great way to, get involved with the TAPS professors, get to know them a little bit more, and I guess attach a degree to what you're committing to while you're at Stanford, which is probably dancing a lot. But it's not like the end all be all. You have to minor if you want to dance. I dance a lot. It's my thing, I would say, and I don't minor. So I think it's possible to do both. And I think, each minoring or not minoring is equally important, I think, so.
Thank you for that answer.
If there's no other questions, I'll go back to Stanford Sing Times Zoom breakout room.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of the panel.